Welcome to the graduation of the class of 2017. Today is a really happy occasion for our seniors, for their families and friends, and for their teachers as well. We're here to celebrate our seniors' growth, their achievements, their many successes, and their hard work and determination that have brought them across the finish line of Urban. Congratulations to them on a job well done. With us here today are parents, guardians, grandparents, relatives, teachers, friends, Urban alums, truly the largest extension of the Urban community. And as our seniors graduate from high school, they are not alone. They've been helped along their way by the love, guidance, support, and friendship of so many of you in the audience who are here by their side today. Each of our seniors is here today because of many other people. I want to take a few moments to recognize the different members of our audience and to acknowledge you for what you have done to help our graduates reach this point today. And I'd like to start those acknowledgments with parents, guardians, and step-parents. All of you have cared for these seniors since they were very young children, have nurtured and cherished them, guided them, always had faith and confidence in them, and loved them without measure. So parents, step-parents, and guardians, please all stand so we might thank you. Next, I want to recognize this class's teachers who have inspired our seniors across their 4 years at Urban. I want to acknowledge the faculty for their passion for what they teach, for both challenging and encouraging our graduates, and for the care and attention they've given each of them, and for the affection they have for them. So faculty and Urban staff, please stand so that we might recognize all of you and thank you. I also want to recognize the grandparents in our audience today. So grandparents, please stand so that we might acknowledge and thank you. Woo, great. And now I know we have them here, siblings of these seniors. All brothers and sisters, please stand so we may thank you. And now all the aunts, uncles, cousins of our graduates, please stand so we may acknowledge you. I know we have some here today. Urban alums, please stand. Yeah. And last but not least, all other friends and family members. Can you please stand? So graduates, rarely will you have this kind of a chance to be in front of an audience overflowing with so much love, friendship, goodwill for you. They're all rooting for you and very, very proud of you. Remember that and take it with you. A graduation is an ending and it's a beginning, as the word commencement suggests. Our event today brings to a close the past 4 years while it looks forward to a new start. We say goodbye to our graduates as they're leaving high school and they are about to take the next steps in their education. Having reached the culmination of your Urban experience, you're now ready to move on and start again, as you all will next year in so many different kinds of environments, far from the familiarity of Urban that has been your home for the last 4 years. Next year, you'll be freshmen again, as you were just 4 years ago. The newest students at college, starting out again, learning again to understand and navigate a new and unfamiliar environment and culture. And it'll be an environment that's far larger than the Urban school. And as you make this transition, I'm confident you're going to thrive in your new schools. And I have this confidence because I think you're going to take with you 4 characteristics that are both habits and aptitudes that you've acquired during your time at Urban. The first aptitude you're going to take with you as an Urban graduate is the habit of engagement, the habit of being fully present and curious, having a mind opened to possibility, of being able to jump into something new, even though you don't always know where it will lead you. Indeed, this habit of engagement gives you confidence, Urban confidence, knowing how to listen and learn, to figure things out, to tackle new problems. You've also learned how to be engaged in this way when collaborating with your peers. You're able to listen to others, to build on each other's ideas, to express your own, and to come up with something that is greater than the sum of individual contributions. The second aptitude you've gained at Urban is the most critical to your future success, both in college and in the workplace. Each of you has become an independent thinker, skilled in critical reasoning, and a capable, resourceful learner. At Urban, you've been asked to frame meaningful questions, to formulate and test hypotheses, to think for yourself, and to defend your point of view. You know how to analyze and interpret difficult texts, to draw conclusions from data, to solve problems creatively in multiple ways, to make connections between ideas, and to apply concepts in new contexts. Above all, you've not been passive consumers of information, simply soaking up knowledge. Rather, you've come to Urban each day to make meaning and to actively build understanding for yourselves. Sadly, I'm here to tell you that you won't remember most of the content that's been covered in your classes. The books you've read, the formulas, the theorems, the details are not what will endure. What you'll remember are the habits and aptitudes instilled through the process of learning at Urban. And what you take with you are the skills that will enable you to continue to learn quickly and effectively in the future. Your preparation at Urban consists in having learned how to learn. Psychologist Carl Rogers wrote, "The only person who is educated is the one who has learned how to learn and change." And it is this, learning how to learn and change, that is the most valuable gift you take with you. It gives you skills and tools and motivation and confidence to continue learning, to figure out what you will need to know and to be able to do when you face situations where you don't know what to do. The ability to learn how to learn enables you to continue your education well beyond formal schooling. The third characteristic that you're going to take with you is a capacity for reflection and self-examination. Uniquely, in my experience, Urban asks its students to reflect on their learning and their experience, to assess and understand their progress, academically and in many other areas of school life. These opportunities for self-reflection, self-assessment abound at Urban. They permeate the school. You can't escape them. All of you have been asked at the end of each term, all 12 of them, and indeed across the term, to evaluate your work. In all of your classes, your teachers have prompted you. What do you think? What have you learned? How do you know that? In what areas have you improved? What are your goals going forward? This habit of reflection has helped each of you to better understand your strengths, areas for growth, and most importantly, how each of you learns best. So learning at Urban has been a process that's led you outside of yourselves to engage with ideas, concepts, and with the world, but it has also led you deeper within yourselves on a journey of self-discovery. Next year at college, you have far less contact with your professors. You will receive far less feedback about your work than you have at Urban. Your capacity for self-reflection will help you direct your learning, define your own goals, and measure your progress. The fourth and final characteristic I know you're going to be taking with you as you graduate is the capacity to challenge yourself and to stretch beyond self-imposed limitations. Urban teachers have consistently challenged you to think for yourself, and they've at times made you uncomfortable intellectually, having you consider new ideas that were alien, having you question your preconceptions and assumptions, and look at issues and topics from an entirely new perspective. They've encouraged you to open up your minds and your hearts. to explore deeply and to try something new. Creating this kind of discomfort seems a necessary element of good learning. Your teachers have pushed you to take intellectual and artistic risks, and they've helped you understand that making mistakes is an inseparable part of the learning process. And this process of exploring and embracing new challenges has not been only happening in the classroom. In theater, in art studios, in music ensembles, in athletics, in community organizations, you've taken risks and stretched beyond what you first thought might be possible. And the faculty and I have been amazed by what you have achieved and the measure of your growth. As you leave Urban, you're now able to challenge yourselves without relying on adults in your life to do this for you, and to push yourselves to meet goals and expectations you now set for yourself. Remember that taking yourself out of a comfort zone is absolutely key to the deepest and most sustained kind of learning and growth, and leads you to know more fully who you are and who you can become. So to the class of 2017, the faculty and I are proud of you and all that you accomplished while at Urban. Keep your spirit of engagement with learning alive as you leave Urban, and your creativity and robust sense of curiosity. Continue to ask questions, to challenge assumptions and preconceptions, to voice your opinions and to act upon your beliefs. Exercise and strengthen your capacity for self-reflection, and continue to extend yourself beyond self-imposed limitations. Class of 2017, Urban sends you on your way with our best wishes for a future full of promise and possibility. Thank you. We have 3 senior speakers this morning. Our first is Clara Becker.
Hi, I didn't tell my parents I was doing this. Hello, my name is Clara Becker and I am your valedictorian. We actually don't have those here, but the title was up for grabs, so it's mine now. I recently found a book that I wrote when I was about 5. It's called The Otter That Never Wanted to Grow Up. In just 15 short pages, the book takes the reader on a journey through the life of an otter as he experiences various existential crises on Otter Pond. I've found books and artwork from my childhood before, but this piece of literature stood out. The egregious plot holes and phonetic spelling suggested that The Otter That Never Wanted to Grow Up was clearly written by a child. But the book also explored some disquieting themes. The table of contents reads as follows. Chapter 1, pretty sad. Chapter 2, sorta happy. And finally, Chapter 3, yelling. Even at the mere age of 5, I was obviously working through some pretty dark stuff. That stuff was evidently easier to cope with when framed within the lives of semi-aquatic mammals. While I was unsettled by the chapter titles in my book, I still couldn't shake the feeling that there was something eerily familiar about it. Then it hit me. The Otter That Never Wanted to Grow Up by Clara Louise Becker bore a striking resemblance to Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's 5 Stages of Grief and Loss. It makes sense that the works of Kubler and I seem particularly apropos right now. We're all suffering a loss. We're leaving Urban, which is sad and scary, but it also means we need the otter that never wanted to grow up now more than ever. It's been 13 years since my last venture into the self-help genre, and my understanding of loss has become more nuanced. But at the same time, it makes me really uncomfortable when other people cry, so please don't. My proposed solution is to completely ignore the fact that we're graduating and altogether because it's too hard to deal with. Instead, I have some anecdotes that I've collected over the past year that make me laugh. They are here purely to distract you from the reality of today and hopefully bring you some joy. Again, please don't cry. It's really going to throw me off. For our senior prank, our class turned the school into a nightclub called Club 17 and had several seniors act as bouncers. All of the bouncers took their roles very seriously. They confiscated bags and checked student IDs diligently. But one bouncer in particular stood out among the rest. Garrett Sharp Craig.
Woo! Hey, Garrett!
There you are. You were chosen to stand by the entrance to the Salkin Center on Oak Street, which, as many of you know, is also Garrett's favorite place to park. On that particular Friday morning at 7:20 a.m., Oak Street was completely deserted. I know this because there was a security camera pointed at that entrance, and from the desk at the Page Street building, I had full visibility of the sidewalk. Garrett did not know about this camera. In fact, I'm fairly sure that this is the first he's hearing of it. But Garrett, even when you didn't think you were being watched, even as you stood alone on the cold and unforgiving streets of San Francisco, you remained completely and utterly in character. Absolutely nothing broke you. And it's this concentration that will take you so far. Garrett was a thrill to watch, and I deeply admire the commitment to your craft. Oh God, there's a bug. Picasso, Matisse, Rembrandt, Van Gogh, Rebecca, and Kenzo. I think that we were all a little skeptical when Kenzo had to cancel his original art project and start an entirely new one during week 10 of a 12-week term. Many said it couldn't be done. Most said it shouldn't be done. But he proved them all wrong. In one short afternoon, the combined efforts of Kenzo Weiss and Rebecca Gardy came together to form a true masterpiece. A painting about 2 feet wide and 4 feet long of a pig sitting with crossed legs. The image itself was hilarious, but it was the sincerity with which the two debated the intricacies of the painting that really elevated the piece. Who could forget the heated debate of week 11 when Kenzo insisted that the painting should only feature 5 pigs max, that's a tongue twister, while Rebecca argued that the piece would be incomplete without at least 10. Regardless, the product is a truly timeless piece of art that will continue to inform and inspire young artists for years to come. I believe that celebrity crushes say a lot about a person. When asking the average high schooler student who their favorite celebrity is, one might expect to hear the likes of some young heartthrob, but not Milan Dolezal. When I asked Milan which celebrity she would theoretically want to marry, without missing a beat, she replied, Steve Carell. I kept expecting her to burst out laughing or even provide some context as to why, out of all the celebrities in existence, she would choose Steve Carell. That explanation never came, but I suppose theirs could be a love that defies explanation. For this last story, I want you to forget everything you know about the urban class schedules. In Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Professor McGonagall gives Hermione a time turner so that she can take more classes than time would allow. Max Rickard Wong has long since been known as Urban's own Hermione Granger. He's got the audacity and sass of a young Emma Watson, and he really is the brightest witch of his age. And just like Hermione, Max didn't take no for an answer when told he couldn't fit any more classes into his senior spring schedule. Instead, Max decided to move off the beaten path and redefine what senior spring meant to him by taking not 1, but 2 classes during the same period. Just like a young Frank Sinatra, Max did it his way. Any other student may have settled for one class or the other, but not Max. When asked whether he would rather take art as a daily practice or advance Shakespeare, Max fearlessly looked into the eyes of both Jeff and Dawn and simply asked, why not both? The rest, as they say, is history. I realize that this may be the last time that I stand in front of all of you and address you as a whole. I'd like you to know that I really and sincerely have enjoyed your company, and thank you for making me laugh. As a final gift, I want to leave you with some advice. I have compiled all of the best advice I've ever given myself and the most important mistakes I've made into 10 bullet points. Take it or leave it. Number 1, do not underestimate the power of a minor injury. It makes you more approachable, it's a good icebreaker, and a really fun way of getting out of things you don't want to do. 2, do stuff that scares you. I don't mean this in an inspiring way. I mean, be the kid who does something crazy so everyone goes, oh, look, that's the kid who ate a spider. 3, make a name for yourself. For example, I've heard the kid who ate a spider is still up for grabs. 4, slow and steady has never won the race. There's no Olympic medal for most consistent pace, so please stop lying to yourself. 5, as my mother has informed me repeatedly, the fact that LeBron James did not go to college is not in fact a sufficient reason for me also to not go. This is especially true given the fact that I've never played basketball before. 6, Avatar and Avatar: The Last Bender are not the same movie, which is information I could have used at about hour 3 into James Cameron's film. 7, school is really hard. That's not advice, that's just been something I've been wanting to get off my chest. 8, location, location, location. 9, remember to write letters home. The United States Postal Service is struggling to compete with the new email franchise and SMS text messaging. The change starts with us and every letter counts. And finally, 10, always leave them wanting more. Thank you.
The first of 2 musical performances. We have senior members of the Urban Singers singing for us, Being Alive, Stephen Sondheim.
Somebody hold me too close. Somebody hurt me too deep.
Somebody sit in my chair and ruin my sleep and make me aware of being alive. Being alive.
Somebody need me too much. Somebody know me too well. Somebody pull me up shorts and put me through hell and give me support for being alive. Being alive.
Our next senior speaker, fresh from his performance, Sam Mastow.
Sometimes I feel as if I've spent my whole life at Urban. It feels like middle school was decades ago. Yet only 4 short years ago, all of us decided where we would attend high school. I took some time to mull over the pros and cons of the 2 schools I was choosing between. My dad talked me through some of it, but ultimately, he left me with one piece of advice: go with your gut. Now, in 8th grade, I was a pretty chubby kid. The bright orange, puffy Patagonia jacket I always wore didn't really do much to help with that. Needless to say, I had enough gut to work with. Little did I know at the time, but that same ideology of going with my gut was going to continue to influence me throughout my years here at Urban. Freshman year, still a chubby kid, still had my fashionable jacket, yet I had been thrown into a whole new environment. No longer was I in the bubble of Marin Country Day School. This wasn't Kansas anymore. This was high school, and wow, did those seniors all look really old, and boy, did they have their lives together. As a senior now, I now realize that is not the case. In truth, I came in with a lack of self-confidence that stemmed from insecurities about myself and the way I looked. When it came to talking to new people, I overthought every word that left my mouth, and I overanalyzed everyone's reaction. I also felt as if I was just following the clear path that had been laid out in front of me. I had severely limited control over the actual structure of my life. It was kind of like the expository essays we started in middle school. You start with a thesis, you defend in 2 or 3 points, and then you conclude. The less personal the tone and the more distance analysis you achieve, the better the grade. My thesis was to do well in school and extracurriculars. My body paragraphs were to work hard and keep your head down, and my conclusion was to get results. But Urban changed that. There was the theater, the sports, the different academic classes. It was all there. I just had to go ahead and jump into it. The first push to realizing this sort of freedom came from the teachers. In sophomore year, I sat in Leroy Votto's Making America class. And every now and again, he'd give us these in-class essays to write. One of these was on Thomas Paine and his writing of Common Sense. Instead of maintaining a distance from my personal opinion, I decided I would change it up and make it interesting. So I wrote a speech instead of a normal essay. The whole time I was thinking, what am I doing right now? I probably should have slept more last night. That was neither the first nor the last time I had that conversation throughout high school. But when handing back our papers, Leroy came up to me. He said, "Sam, I loved it. I know you like acting. You should really put on a one-man show about Thomas Paine." Now, if you know Leroy, he's nice to just about anyone. So I responded, "Oh, you're too nice. That would be funny." Yet he persisted. "Sam, I mean it. Keep channeling this in your writing." It was his reaction that helped me realize that having the confidence to put myself into what I was writing created a better piece. Junior fall, I was in Urban's production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. But it wasn't just any Shakespeare play. No, this was Shakespeare's play with a 50s musical twist. Had I ever done a Shakespeare play before? No, not once. But, to top it all off, my director, Wendy, she came up to me and she said, "So, Sam, I want you to involve some Elvis in your role as Oberon." Not having much experience with Elvis's dance moves, or any dance moves for that matter, I found myself in a very unfamiliar situation. I figured it out by the end and realized that the more confident I looked while I was dancing, the less bad it would be. Now, Wendy knew exactly what she was doing, and she led us all to victory with a successful show. Junior spring, I spent a semester in New York City called City Term, where I was thrown even further out of my comfort zone. We lived just north of the big city in a little town called Dobbs Ferry, but most of our time was spent wandering the streets of the 5 boroughs. It felt a little like a free fall, with my family and my friends all the way across the country. I had no one to cling to. It was all on me. And it was in that state of not knowing that I pushed myself to talk to new people, and I got to make more decisions for myself. Many of our assignments involved approaching complete strangers and initiating conversations with them. The first time we did this, my group was very timid about starting conversation. We would look expectantly to each other, and our interaction would be, "Do you want to talk first?" "No." "Do you?" "What are we doing right now? We probably all should have slept more last night." But by the end of the term, we were fighting to talk first. Through this experience, I learned that one of the best ways to gain confidence is to fake it. I had to go with my gut. If I kept going back and forth on every decision I had to make, it would just make me anxious and it would take too much time. So I learned to follow my intuition. I learned to follow my heart. Senior year, at this point, I'm done trying to find the safe route, and I'm making choices in life that I want to make. I'm making myself available to the world. Being away helped me realize that Urban was practically piling on all these different opportunities that I could do so long as I jumped into them head first. So now my gut was telling me, hey, Sam, you should write a one-act this year. I said, gut, you're crazy. I don't know how to do that. But somehow he convinced me. So 11 seniors, including myself, worked together through writing processes and directing that none of us had ever done before. There was definitely a lot of, what are we even doing right now? We probably all should have slept more last night. Yet in the end, we pulled it all together as a group and put on some of the best one-acts the school has ever seen. Now, throughout this year, I've been taking note of the freshmen, specifically my little sister Ellie. And I've been reflecting more on that crucial year for me. If there's one piece of advice I have to give to her and to all of you, it's that we have to shed that expository way of living and find the confidence in ourselves to create our own path. For all of us, I hope that each decision leads to more questions, each path to more crossroads. It is there where we get to go back to that state of free fall, that state of not knowing. Then we get to start all over again. Thank you.
And our third senior speaker, Nolan Choi.
Grizzly bears are an important part of the Alaskan ecosystem. To scientists, they are a sign of a healthy and productive forest environment. However, they are also very dangerous animals. Most of you will not be looking to find grizzly bears, although I know a few of you who may. However, it will be the bears that find you regardless of whether you ask for it or not. Therefore, it is my civic duty as future park ranger of the United States National Park Service to inform you adolescents of the steps to take to reduce bodily damages should you encounter a grizzly bear. To those classmates who anticipate a future living or working in Alaska, Montana, or Russia, this is especially important information. If you should encounter a bear, dismiss the notion that you don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun your friend. False. The bear will kill your friend, chase you, kill you, drag your body back to your friends, and proceed to eat you both. The National Park Service on their website lists recommendations on what you can do during a bear encounter, or as I like to call it, how to decrease the chances of receiving internal bleeding, external bleeding, claw wounds, concussions, missing limbs, and death. The first recommendation, identify yourself. Remain still and stand your ground. Be confident in yourself. My freshman year, I came into Urban not knowing who I was. Urban launched us into our 4 years with several relationship-building activities, such as awkward dyads, speed dating at Bishop's Ranch, wherein I was forced to disclose to Colin Heath that I self-identified as a ketchup. Time passed and B-minuses turned into A's. I had long hair and then I didn't have long hair. I had glasses and then I didn't have glasses. I learned how to speak French and then I forgot how to speak French. Prompting very awkward bonjours in the hallway with Arnaud until he stopped greeting me entirely. There were times I literally could not identify myself. Courtney introduced herself to me in the middle of our junior year, saying, "Hi, I'm Courtney." And as I proceeded to shake her hand in bewilderment that a teacher was actually talking to me about something other than classwork, I replied, "Hi, I'm Courtney." I would have gladly accepted death by bear right then and there. But at the end of these 4 years, I know that I hate calculus, I write pretty well, I like to live in the moment, and I like to live unplanned. And I now self-identify as a fully matured Chipotle mayo. While some of us may only be able to complete fragments of our own identity, I know, as well as you, that we have left this school more human than when we began. As it states in the National Park Service recommendations, to identify yourself, quote, help the bear identify you as human. So before the bear can get to know you better, you have to know yourself. The second recommendation, stay calm. Quote, a scream or sudden movement may trigger an attack. Never imitate bear sounds or make a high-pitched squeal. Don't sweat the small stuff. I realized that a lot of things are out of my control, and the best thing I can do is to stay calm. At Urban, I've heard a lot about bad grades, not getting into your favorite college, and our sophomore grade trip to Mendocino. Realize that a lot of this is out of your hands and isn't the end of the world. Well, with the exception of Mendocino, in which case you can throw your biggest, most deserved tantrum, because who the hell builds cabins in the middle of 30-degree nights with open holes they call windows? And I mean, at that point, why even have a cabin? And don't get me started on 24/7 adult supervision. But when I calm down, my priorities become far more clear. By calming down, you may see that a problem isn't actually there. Quote, bears may bluff their way out of an encounter by charging and then turning away at the last second. Stay calm. As future director of the National Park Service, I would like to add my own recommendation on how to handle bear attacks that isn't currently on the National Park's website. The third recommendation, enjoy the ride. When you find yourself as a warm pile of bear crap at the back of a bear den churned in with few blackberry seeds, you'll regret not enjoying the time between the bear charging and full-on impact. You should have spent those last few seconds of your life taking in a breath of wild morning air, admiring the pure blueness of the skies, and enjoying the state of living in its entirety. To say that my years at Urban have been the most important years of my life, and the best would be a lie and be frankly demoralizing if that were true. But what I can say with 100% confidence and conviction is that these years have been the most beautiful years of my life, and it's tragic I've only come to realize this once I've begun to leave them. 10 years from now, you're not going to remember the hard tests you had to take and how much you cried on the inside. What you are going to remember is the fun times you had in class and how you locked Laura out of the classroom on test day and watched as she struggled to open the door with her own keys. You'll remember Andrew Lee not writing a speech and still placing in the runoffs. Remember your road trips with your friends and all the stupid stuff you did with them. Remember watching Teletubbies with Parisa, yoga with Clark at Bishop's Ranch, singing Party in the USA in Mendocino, chilling in the beach in Point Reyes, and subpar baby back ribs with Spencer. Remember these moments because they will be what keeps you intact. So when you see the mother of all bears barreling straight towards you, enjoy the ride. Drink every last drop of every last moment because you'll regret not caring when you were actually in them. Now I know we will all face many bears in our lifetime. I know we've faced several already, some at the SAT, some in a tussle with mom, some while choosing colleges. But make no mistake, you will find more regardless of whether you look for them or they find you. Some will be enormous grizzlies, and some may be small cubs, in which case you can grab them by the paws and slap them against your nearest tree. But should you come across a bear, you know what to do. Identify yourself, stay calm, and enjoy the ride. And should you come across a real bear, well then, God help you.
And now we'll have senior members of the Advanced Jazz Band Chamber Orchestra with select members of the Urban Singers performing In My Life, Lennon-McCartney.
There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed. I've heard
Our faculty speaker today is English teacher at Urban, Ben Slater, and himself an Urban graduate.
Urban teachers and employees, friends and family of the class of 2017, thank you for the honor and probably the humiliation of standing in front of you and trying to say wise things. Class of 2017, I'm suspicious. I think you're waiting. I think you're waiting to get off of this stage. Actually, every single one of you I've talked to said the exact thing. I'm suspicious because I sat on the same stage 10 years ago, and I couldn't wait to get off of it. Soon enough, the ceremony was over. Yes, the ceremony will end. I got in my bright blue Volkswagen Jetta. I put in my CD of funky jazz. I headed out on Sunset Boulevard. I still had that voice in my head reminding me that I had nothing to wait for. Ben, you're just going to lunch with your family, and you're going to spend the whole time worrying about whether they'll get along. But I told myself that if I could just wait out this lunch, then I'd have the whole summer ahead of me. But Ben, you're spending the summer living with your parents and working at the same stupid gelato shop. So I decided to wait until college. I told myself that some new, happier life was waiting for me, 3 months and 3,000 miles away. It's been 10 years. I'm back on the same stage. Another Urban commencement. In less than an hour, I'll be getting back in that exact same blue Volkswagen Jetta. It's not quite as bright, same car. I know I've probably grown. I'm probably more grounded, more whole. Whatever I was waiting for 10 years ago, that has not commenced. I'm not even really sure anymore what it was. Class of 2017, what life are you waiting for? Who examined the good life with me this year? A bunch of you left behind some clues. You left behind little pieces that you wrote. Some of them were still on the think tank wall. I went and gathered them. You wrote about a moment when you tasted the promise of happiness. Matt Townsend, where are you? There you are. All right. So like me, you're also waiting to get in a car. Right now, you're remembering, quote, barreling down Fulton. The front two windows rolled all the way down. Mia Carlton, I think you're over there. You're picturing the beach on your 10th birthday. Quote, as each wave approaches, gaining strength and height, we puff up our chests and stare it down. We are powerful, fearless. Where's Tess? All right. You're imagining landing in Hawaii and letting all your stuff get soaked in the warm rain. Because in Hawaii, you can stop worrying about your to-do list and stop, quote, constantly feeling like I'm missing something. Dom? You're waiting for the Warriors game tonight. And you're still relishing that feeling you had last summer when they signed Kevin Durant. Quote, Durant signing with the Warriors was like the United States spending more on their defense budget. It was like Bill Gates winning the lottery. And Lauren, where are you? You're still waiting to be a cool senior. You remember hearing your older brother's friends, quote, trickling up the stairs to our top floor, marching up to mystery. Class of 2017, did you ever get there? Did you ever become those cool seniors? Here's what I see in all your visions of happiness. You're on top, you're in power, you're in control. Matt barreling down Fulton, Mia conquering the waves, Tess feeling no stress or FOMO in Hawaii, Dom signing Kevin Durant, Lauren becoming a cool senior. Good luck. You're waiting to become a person who can conquer every challenge, a person who can subdue every source of stress. You're waiting to become a person who will never again feel small, low down, vulnerable, insecure, overwhelmed, below standard. Is anyone on the stage waiting to stumble and fall? Is anyone here waiting to feel even slightly awkward? How could you ever want to feel again the inescapable shame that is being a freshman? But you all signed up to be freshmen again. And with a new twist, you signed up to share a room, to share your one protected place with a random person. You signed up for another round of 4 years where you'll go in and stumble. And even if you manage not to fall flat on your face, you're definitely going to feel pretty awkward. James Hill. The other day, you made me feel like my whole life was one big stumble. You told me that you nominated me to be the graduation speaker because I'm, quote, like that older brother who's stuck around and still hasn't done anything with his life. Yeah, it was in that hallway going to the new building. All right. Class, I hope you all see me that way. I hope I've been your constant reminder that there's really no other life to look forward to. I hope that when you see me sticking around Urban, you see reflected in me what you already know about yourselves, that there's really no leaving your high school self behind. I hope I've reminded you that what you're afraid of becoming, you already are. That no matter what choices you make going forward, your choice of college, of career, if any, of life partner, if any, of friends, if any, no matter where or how you go forward, the most vulnerable and awkward parts of you won't go away. They'll stick around. Every so often, you're going to feel small. Class, it's too late. It's too late to reach that life you're waiting for, where you're all high up and powerful. It's too late to avoid feeling low down and small. Who did this to you? Who made you feel so low down and small? And who made you so afraid of feeling this way? Parents. Maybe it was you. Maybe one night 17 years ago, your babies here were crying, and you didn't come to hold them quickly enough. And from then on, whenever they felt small and alone and afraid, they tried to convince themselves that they don't need human love. They just need a pacifier like their phone. But now they're constantly worried that if they don't have a pacifier to feel powerful and in control, they'll totally lose it and start throwing random objects at people. Greg Monfils. Maybe it was middle school. In 7th grade, my best friend and I were talking to a group of cool girls. It started to smell bad. My friend accused me of farting. He always accused me of farting. We human animals are a stinky bunch. He even made a little speech to those cool girls about how Ben may have a lot of bad smells, but he's an awesome guy. That shame doesn't go away. Well, even if you were luckier than I was in middle school, Urban has definitely messed you up. Parents, you hoped that in choosing Urban, you would somehow protect your child from the humiliations of high school. Teachers wouldn't shame your children in front of their peers for failing to memorize the periodic table or a Shakespeare sonnet. And if your children's attention wandered, surely the teacher wouldn't throw random objects at them. Greg Monfils. But we teachers know our job. The humiliations start at freshman orientation. I'm not going to make this up. A couple kids have to eat bananas that have been crushed and moistened by all your nervous hands. Is anybody willing to take on the shame? Who ate the banana? Right. Then we make advising groups quickly prepare skits so that at least one advisory group, in this case mine, gets humiliated on stage. Near the end of the year, we took you to that ropes course at Land's End just to be sure that not a single child could leave freshman year thinking there was a way to avoid falling down in front of their peers. You're welcome. By the end of sophomore year, you're ready to start processing your shame. In English 2B, back at the library, yeah? Yeah. Some remember. We started with The Great Gatsby, where you got to know the very people that so many of you want to become. Incredibly rich, 20-something white people. But they're just like you. They feel small. And they think that eventually, when they're safely on top of the world, they'll finally be safely happy. But to get to the top, they have to push down all their feelings of smallness. And they need to push down all those people whom they need to see as small. Striving for the top leaves a lot of waste behind and beneath us. Fruit rinds pile up outside Gatsby's house. A valley of ashes accumulates between his house and the city where he makes his money. And masses of humans waste away their lives toiling in that valley of ashes. Our characters can employ them, can sleep with them, and can run them over in their big cars. In other words, excluding the feelings of smallness in yourself leads you to see them in other people, people whom you need to exclude. Even Daisy, who says she just wants to be, quote, a beautiful little fool, knows that to be happy on top, quote, we need to beat them down. But what we're afraid of has already happened. Each character is trying to avoid feeling small, lonely, and vulnerable precisely because they already carry that experience with them. They think they're afraid of falling, but they already have fallen. After Gatsby, we get to Their Eyes Are Watching God, where Janie finally does reach that experience of the rich wholeness of life that she, and I think all of you, are waiting for. And she gets there by falling in love, by falling for a man who she's been told is low down and trashy, and by falling to the low, unprotected Everglades. She grows there in the muck because the muck is fertile. It's not just that we can't avoid falling to the bottom, we want to. The bottom is fertile. It's full of life. We fall so that we can grow into something more whole. Did you know that when you were a freshman in my freshman year of teaching at Urban, I literally fell down the stairs? I actually didn't know that until last year, so 3 years later. At an all-school meeting, a senior described it as her favorite memory of an Urban teacher. And I really was like, that couldn't have happened. But it must have. I guess I shoved that stuff way down, too. And so does the whole Slater family. Instead of carrying with us the shame of having fallen, we carry with us a fear that we will fall. It's called the fear of heights. But what the Slaters are afraid of has already happened. Class, maybe a good life doesn't just rise to the top like a dry series of leadership positions, but often falls back to the fertile ground. Maybe a good life isn't just an exhausting climb towards those high up places that you think you want, that you think will protect you from what you fear, but instead requires staying curious about what you want and what you fear. Please, if you're taking anything away from 4 years of English class, at least keep reading into each character in your life, and above all yourself, for motives. Be curious about your motives. Your desires and fears are just as complex and strange as Gatsby's or Daisy's or Nick's or Janie's. Urban students, I'm sorry. It's also my fault. I wrote all those interim and course reports that told you you're getting stronger. Those growth narratives that must have led you to think that after 96 consecutive weeks of growth, you'd never feel low down again. Over these 4 years, I've written you more than 4,000 promises of a happy life that I don't think you can have and that I don't think you really even want. Class of 2017, here's the growth narrative I should have written you. You came in here a mostly fearful bunch, and you never really stirred up much trouble or challenged authority. But you did develop the courage to feel what you feared. The courage to sign up each term for a sport when you knew you wouldn't always be beating down your athletic opponents, although you did, but would often be falling to them. I'm thinking of how you fell on the basketball court to the Goliath of the Urban faculty that is Seth Snyder. The courage of the one acts, where you wrote, produced, and then left in the hands of untrained and even younger adolescent actors 8 plays which expose your willingness to feel dangerously silly, dangerously indecisive, and dangerously empathetic. And the courage to lead the Affinity Show, where you spoke before friends, family, and teachers about the most vulnerable aspects of your identity. It's a task which I'm tiptoeing around right now, but it's a task which you did honestly, riskily, and lovingly. Class, it will always be this way. That daily awkwardness, the annual humiliation, these are essential ingredients in our real growth narratives. I'm not asking you to spend your whole life lingering around Urban like I am, walking through the hallways where I was once wounded. But I am asking you to always remind yourself that you're a human. Remember your falls so that they can help you remember that you're never going to be more than or less than a human animal. Falling reminds us that we don't want to be looked down upon by our fellow humans, but we also don't want to be looking down at them either. We don't want to be precariously perched above them. We want to see and be seen as equals, because what we most want, and what we've really been waiting for, is to feel completely human. Thank you. Good luck.
Should we move this first, actually?
So Urban is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. It was founded in 1966, and perhaps being the 60s, it decided to strike a blow against the tyranny of the alphabet, a rebellion in its own way. And so alert to all the photographers out there that the names of our graduates will not be read in alphabetical order today. So stay alert.
Clara Becker. James Hill. Larkin Levine. Marcus Blumenfeld. Alex Hoskins Frame. Chris Shigazumi. Serena Hokuau Onaloke Richard. Willa Barnett. Krista Vanuska. Summer Albany Bombard. Jeremiah Hutchinson. Rex Hirschhorn. Eliza Gislason. Jawei Ma. Evie Heidi Smith. Stephen Chula. Max Rickard Wong. Michael Kim. Katie Johnkier. Cameron Galley. Mia Risher. Thomas Sue. Ben Legou. Noah Fox. Marielle Solomon. Claire Oster. Andy Zhang. Milan Dolajal. Sarah Morse. Anyoli Martinez. Sam Mastow. Emmy Hicks Jablons. Catherine Sierchio. Ellie Armstrong. Dominic Bobilla. Kayla Breeze. Tommy Civic. Madeline Matz. Kaylee Hecht. Ben Lee. Max McAllister. Maya Clark Self. Olivia DiNapoli. Rose Phasians. Ian Shapiro. Jack McClellan. Gabby Gotts. Isabella Rodoni. Parker Sella. Isabel Michael. Colin Heath. Jaden Rao. Zoe Meneghetti. Meredith Lee. Camille Barreto. Casey Leffers. Olivia Meehan. Maya Berkeley. Kevin Wadsworth. Kaylee Christ. Carter Langan. Lily Glickman. Jackson Cortez. Chris Anderson. Claire Beckstoffer. Michael Lynch. Matt Townsend. Thomas Vermillion. Sarah Fingerhood. Kenzo Weiss. Garrett Sharp Craig. Isaac Shinefield Candell. Sarah Weil. Sammy Winokur. Rebecca Gardy. Holly Anderson. Olivia Mitchell. Nolan Choi. Mia Carlton. Cole Palmer. Tess Vega. Krishna Dindile. Zoe Surchuk. Lucas Lepenard. Ali Rome. Spencer Rosen. Mackenzie Platt. Charlotte Pohl. Lauren Saphir. And last, Maeve Cullinog.
So there you have it. Congratulations, class of 2017.